We will be online. We actually on air, guys. We're actually on air, guys. Well, we don't have viewers here. Viewers are gathering, and will be gathering hopefully. So let's do a little chat. How are you guys doing? The only thing I have to say, we lost moderator due to emergency. Ryan Stewart won't be here with us. So, but we will have our participant. And okay, guys, I always do as a Google will tell me to do, which means I'll do it from left to right on my screen. So don't be surprised. It's not particular. I'm not affiliated with any service, with any tools. Yeah, okay. We have Igor Go, which is easy because it says on the tin. Igor Go Serpstat from Odessa, Ukraine. And next on my screen is Martin Weinberg. There is nothing written, but it's SEMrush, Martin Weinberg. We have Owen Powys, Wordtracker from London. And we have Aras Jones. Maras Jones represent Moss today. Okay, guys, we can start chatting. I can see we have more viewers, and hopefully we will have more, even more viewers. For everyone who just joined us, I have to say we won't have moderator. Guest host Ryan Stewart, he had emergency, he won't be here. But we do have with us Moss, SEMrush, Wordtracker, and we do have local Tiger, which is a Serpstat, who's obviously looking for world appreciation. Okay, I don't know, guys. Do you want to share a little bit of what you've been up to? What you've been up to this week? I don't know, Martin.
Well, it's a beautiful day here in the Philadelphia area. And as SEMrush continues to grow, we just added a PR manager, and marketing team is humming along and just having a great time, you know, taking it to the next level.
Owen, how's the weather in London?
Weather in London is beautiful at the moment. Actually, we're in the middle of a increasingly rare heat wave, so we're actually getting some summer, which is good to see. At the moment at Wordtracker, we've got quite a lot going on at the moment. We're currently working on improving our Get Traffic course, which we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. And we're also working on a new version of our keyword tool. So that's all happening at the moment. So yeah, busy times.
I do have questions for every one of you, but I'll wait for we will have more viewers. Okay, Russell, what you've been doing? What you've been up to recently?
Recently, I've been scrambling to find an internet connection to do this webinar. My power went out about an hour right before this started. But no, at Moz we've been focusing on version 2.0 of our Keyword Explorer tool. I don't have an official date on when we're going to launch it, but we're making a lot of strides there. And also working to deal with some of the changes that Google has been making with Keyword Planner.
Okay, and what about you, Igor?
I've been in the office for like last 12 hours, I believe, so can't tell much about the weather or what's going on outside. But as for Serpstat, just like Russ, we're getting ready to release some new features. We are preparing to add backlinks analysis, rank tracking, and site audit this August, so it's busy times. We've also added 3 new features. I think it was Friday or Monday. I believe that the content department had to work in an emergency mode to release the news about these 3 new features. Nothing big, but just some changes to the local algorithms. So I'm just working.
It's interesting. I thought we agreed that we will start with some kind of easy chatting, and you try to just tell everything and go. Yeah, Igor, go. Okay.
It's not even 1%. If
yeah,
you tell everything, it will take like the whole hour.
Yeah, okay, you won't have all hour. We have 4 guys with us. Someone who just joined us. We have we have Moz here, we have Wordtracker here, we have SEMrush here, and we have Serpstat, and it's well. I understand. I'm not. Unfortunately, we lost our host. So I have to do that. So I'm not really an expert on it. So I rely on my guests today, guys. When I was kind of preparing this, I was asking questions people who supposed to know everything, and about keywords and keyword tools, I have such different opinion. From opinions that keywords are dead and buried and just bloody forget it, don't use it, and it's not 1998. That's what I heard, and completely different opinion about keywords. That keywords are, with keywords you can do everything. And so what's your take on it? Okay, Russ, would you mind to start?
No problem. I've certainly heard the call that keywords are dead. I joined Moz last August after being in an agency for the previous 10 years. And I can tell you from the agency perspective that keywords are most certainly not dead by any stretch of the imagination. The only thing that's really changed is the way that we use keywords and the way we optimize for them. And perhaps the way that Google might rank them. But at the end of the day, even voice search is still translating a query into a keyword or a key phrase. So I guess there was a famous phrase, I think it was Mark Twain who said, news of my death has been exaggerated, or something of that sort. And I think that's the case with keywords.
Okay, Owen, what do you think? Owen, obviously, well, somebody told me take Wordtracker because they invented keyword tools. Your company said 1998. Was it 1998?
Yeah, that's very true. We've been going since 1998. I can't say definitely whether we invented keyword research or not, but probably, to my knowledge, we're certainly one of the earliest players around. I mean, Wordtracker had a keyword tool before Google did. So yeah, we've seen a lot of change, and actually, it's true that like there's always been reports. I think during that whole time, especially when things like different algorithm changes and stuff like that happen, and people go as far to say SEO is dead and keyword research is dead, and all of these things inevitably come up. But at the end of the day, just like Russ was saying, that as long as it's about connecting the input from the user with the publication, so with the material and the content that you've got, at the end of the day, that is, keywords are so fundamental to that process, and it's not like that process is changing or that process that's actually going anywhere. And I think ultimately, the types of keywords that people use and how we're using them are changing and does evolve over time, but that doesn't mean that keywords itself and keyword research as a whole is dead by a long way. And in fact, I'd say that I've from what we've seen at Wordtracker, I'd say that actually like people are seeing an increasing amount of value in keywords. So yeah, I think there's still I still think keywords are a very valuable thing.
Okay, great. But as every time I'm up here, SEO is dead. Content is not king. Keywords are dead. Yeah, it looks like everybody's dead. Yeah, so something. Martin, what do you think?
Well, I think it's important to remember as marketers that at the end of the day, we're not really the keyword researchers. The keyword researchers are the people out there with problems and questions, and they're doing their research. And I think if we all remember back to the ZMOT framework that Google came out with, the zero moment of truth, that before people approach the search engine, before they even start typing in Google, they're formulating thoughts and ideas and wishes and some goal they have in mind. So I think as marketers and as SEOs, to start getting in their heads and infer what is the thinking that's going behind that before they even start typing the keyword phrases and then start formulating that, then we can start to better match up what their intent was and hopefully pay it off with something that's going to meet their needs. So no, I don't believe keyword research is dead at all. It's the mechanism. But realize, we're always dealing with amateur keyword researchers out there, and to remember to think the way they do.
Well, always it would be very strange if I ask you, you're selling keyword tools, and I ask you, what do you think keywords are dead? You say, yeah, it's completely dead. Just forget about it. Okay, Igor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting question for me. I joined Serpstat last autumn, and I didn't know much about SEO in general at that time. So when I first stumbled upon a headline saying that keyword research is dead or whatever is dead, I was like, oh, okay, so is that it? Just do we wrap up and go home, or what's going on here? And as the time went by, I saw like probably hundreds of those. Never really paid attention, but people fail to grasp those who say that something's dead. That because this thing they used to do with keywords, like putting them in titles or headings, doesn't have that much influence on the algorithm. It means that something else does. And as search analytics tools, I think the keyword research tools, they all do, what we all do is, I'll call it search analytics. And our job is to find the ways to use these keywords, because still users on Google or any other search engine, they start with the keyword. Wherever they type, that's the keyword. How can that be bad? Probably the keywords will be dead the day when the Google gets rid of the search bar. That's probably the day. But until people type something in there, keywords are going to stay, not going anywhere.
Well, okay, it's always the opinion of people selling keyword tools. I'm not surprised. Why I'm not surprised? Okay, I do have some question to every one of you. So we probably waited enough, so we can start. So I'll start. It's actually a follow-up question. Owen, how do you feel? 1998. Well, I'm pretty sure some of us didn't have a computer at the time. Or Igor confessed. He didn't. Okay. And you already were doing keywords. Could you kind of put it like bands? So for example, now it's 2016, and first band was easy, just stuffing keywords. Second time was something, and then something. You understand my question, don't you?
Yeah, definitely, and how things have evolved since 1998. I have to hold my hands up and say I wasn't actually in Wordtracker in 1998. That was a little bit before my time, but it's certainly like all my experience basically comes from working within digital agencies, and I spent a lot of time working as an SEO consultant. And even during the sort of last sort of 6-7 years that I've been involved in search, I've seen an enormous amount of change. And certainly, like back in the very, very early days, and even going back to that kind of 1998 period, when it was much more about just literally taking some words, putting them in X, Y, and Z elements on a page, and then that page is going to rank. And that was pretty much it. That was SEO really. And you could get away with a lot more like keyword stuffing, and I think it was a bit more of a kind of sort of Wild West SEO environment where I think a lot more slightly unscrupulous tactics people could get away with and stuff like that. So certainly, and actually you still had the keyword tag as a metric back then. So certainly things like that have have changed a lot. I think that as Google essentially has to evolve as marketers, as people who do SEO and internet marketers, get more and more savvy to how the algorithm works and the different things that Google does to rank content, and then effectively tries to engineer our content so that we can rank it best in that system. So it's kind of always a bit of a fight between us and Google trying to ensure that everything is like a fair playing field. So over time, those kind of really easy ways to use keywords, like just putting them in some heading tags or in the title tags, and you're done. Those kind of metrics have become less and less weighted in the algorithm, and more complex ones have instead taken their place. So I certainly think that we are seeing shifts towards using keywords differently, and I would say over the span of that time, that's really really what it's about. It's more and more different metrics being introduced, and those metrics becoming more complex.
Okay, guys, if you wanna add something what Owen said, or follow up, or discuss, or pause,
Yeah,
just go ahead.
I'd like to add a thing that people forgetting that keywords and the data on keywords that we can gather, it's not just for SEO, it's very valuable information for marketers, seeing what people are searching, seeing how often they search for those things, and what results they get. You can plan the marketing strategy based on what your audience is interested in and what your audience is getting, and whether or not you can provide something to replace those things, even outside of context of SEO, just for marketing.
And I think the year 2013 was particularly important with the release of Hummingbird, where the focus was now more on phrases and meanings and related content as opposed to exact matches. So we really saw keyword stuffing decline as a strategy. And now people have to think about their content in many different ways. How do we create, a semantic cloud? How do we make sure that it's relevant? How do we express the same idea in the same language that users are actually using without being repetitive? So from a timeline perspective, I think that was really key as far as keyword strategy.
I would agree with that, and I would say that Google certainly doubled down on that with RankBrain. The query disambiguation has meant that when you search for these longer phrases, Google can figure out what they are, even if they've never seen it before, and that can lead just to a wide variety of search results in which you don't have an exact match query at all. It increases both the number of sites and pages with which you're competing, just because they're relevant as opposed to share exact phrases as they did in the past. But at the same time, it opens up your content to rank for more phrases, because you might not have used an exact phrase in the past, but because you're relevant to it, you've got a good chance to rank now.
Well, yeah, Owen, you wanna?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna add to Russ's point there, because it's about searches becoming increasingly long tail, which is something that we've seen, and I think as well, like, because there's now more and more kind of sort of speech to text style search, where you might ask your mobile or kind of your digital assistant, like Siri or something like that, for your query. The type of terms which you use to search when talking are a lot different than what you type, and they tend to be more long tail. So I think we're going to see that kind of trend is just going to increase over time.
Oh, one really interesting thing. Thank you, Owen, for bringing that up. There's also this unique situation which occurs when Google decides to influence their search suggest. So if you start to type in a phrase like restaurants or hotels or gas station or something like that, it'll often suggest that phrase plus near me. And what we've seen is a spike in searches that include the phrase near me. And it's because Google has basically said, okay, instead of letting people always type the same question 1,000 different ways, like restaurants that are close to me, restaurants that are in my state or city or zip code or any number of phrases, they suggest to you to type in near me. And if you don't have a keyword research tool, you're not going to find out that that's the variant that Google is basically pouring all of this traffic into.
Okay,
Search suggestions are actually a separate topic worth mentioning, because SEOs used to increase the search volumes of certain phrases to make them appear as search suggestions, which someone who monitors the keywords can actually piggyback on, and join the trend without actually, spamming Google or whatever. But that's still valuable information that you need to be on the lookout for. So yeah. And as you said, without keyword research tools, learning what search suggestions Google is offering is just, randomly typing stuff into the search bar and saving that into the notepad, or I don't know how we do that.
I think also to piggyback on what Russ had said, and they're looking for answers right now. So it makes an interesting prioritization shift in our content. How do we provide answers, data, FAQs? How can we incorporate this type of conversational phrases that somebody may speak into their phone as opposed to what they may type in, and maybe we can weave that in to help them attract them to our content.
Martin, whilst I have you here, I have a question to you, or to SEMrush, but you are SEMrush tonight. SEMrush, from my non-scientific research, is the most popular one, arguably. I don't have real statistics, but everyone I ask, they use SEMrush. Very popular tool. I don't know. You guys can share your thoughts about who's the most popular and everything. You will have your time. But my research says it's arguably the most popular at the moment. SEMrush. SEMrush is kind of omnivorous. It's everything. Does enormous amount of webinars, great webinars, blogs, conferences, absolutely everything, which is similar to Moz in a way, from this point of view. And SEMrush, everybody loves SEMrush, everything. So what the question is, well, obviously, it's not a question to you, it's a question to all of you. What's a success of SEMrush? Is it marketing success because they're just doing everything right? Or because the tool is great, it's much better than everybody else?
Well, first, Anton, thank you very much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. SEMrush being around for about 8 years, we've built an incredible database with 30 countries, over 220 million keywords, 80 million in the US, 129 million domains, 39 million in the US, plus we have mobile data. And we're constantly updating it. About 12% of the database is updated in each month. I'd say what contributes to our success is mostly our process, our product development process. Everybody now is talking about Agile and Scrum and iterative development and Lean, and we've really lived that from the beginning. And oftentimes we'll release a new tool in beta, much the way Google does, and we believe in working software over an ultimately finished product. In this way, we get to be very customer-driven, so we put a tool out there when it's functional. We get a lot of great feedback. We're shaping it along the way and constantly iterating and making it better. And we believe by doing this, we're meeting the needs of the people that use our platform.
So basically,
yeah, I'll go ahead and chime in and say that I'm still an SEMrush customer, and I work for Moz. The truth is they do have one very killer feature that is indispensable in our industry, which is the history that they've collected over time for SERPs. I mean, we would have a customer come in, it's not ranking, and we just fire up, and they don't have Google Analytics. We just fire up SEMrush and see, oh, look, you lost all your rankings, and it corresponded with a Panda release or something of that sort. So there are features that SEMrush has that nobody's going to build because nobody can go back in time and copy that. That being said, I also agree with him on the iterative approach. I mean, one of the things we've done with Keyword Explorer is we rolled out new features to Keyword Explorer within one sprint of the release of Keyword Explorer, and that's kind of new to Moz. Most of what we would do is try to push out as finished a product as possible. And while we're still trying to put out finished products, we're also not going to wait until a huge future release. We're going to roll things out as soon as they're ready to customers. And I think that SEMrush has done a good job with that.
Okay, guys, we have Jennifer Slegg from the SEM post, and she will be a moderator from now. She will be intelligent moderator, so we'll change in, well, non-intelligent to intelligent moderator. So Jennifer, just to put you in picture, I just ask a few stupid questions. I still have a couple of them, where I will leave them. So okay, we have. Okay, I always, I always do what Google said. I'll do it from left to right on my screen, which could be different from yours. We have Igor Go from Serpstat. It's our local Ukrainian service, which is looking for global appreciation. We have SEMrush, Martin Weinberg here. We have Wordtracker, which started in 1998. I don't know, Jennifer, were you around in 1998? I mean,
I was.
Okay, and we have Russ Jones from Moz. Okay, what a relief. Jennifer. No, I'll still have. I do have my question. Can I finish with my questions? And Jennifer, you just. Russell, I have a question to you.
Yeah.
Moz is, well, one of the most influential blog and everything. Moz seems to have, well, Open Explorer, Site Explorer is been around for quite long. They have content marketing tools, which we will have next week anyway. And very recently, basically a year ago, Moz decided to go in an overcrowded keyword tools area. Where I don't know. Whilst I was preparing this, I found that everyone had keyword tools. Well, just hundreds, well, not hundreds, but many of them. Well, I understand your point of view. Why you joined Moz to doing this, because you sold Moz your own company. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but why Moz decide to go to keyword tools? Is it Moz has some extra value, or just decide to monetize on a already brand name as a Moz?
It's a really good question, because you can imagine kind of the discussions internally where people were saying, hey, let's make a keyword tool, and folks were like, there's already 1,000 other keyword tools. What are you going to do differently? And admittedly, Rand, I think he's the wizard of Moz now, but one of the co-founders of Moz, had a vision for what the ultimate keyword tool would look like, and he waited until the company was ready to actually produce it. To kind of put some numbers behind it, we've got over 2 billion keywords in our corpus for the United States, not to mention the real-time data that we get. And he didn't trust the Google Keyword Planner numbers at face value, but how are you going to beat those numbers? So we had to line up a clickstream data source. He wanted to be able to do real-time crawls of Google so you could get keyword competitiveness and be able to predict what percentage of clicks actually go to search users or go to organic versus ads or knowledge panel. So we would need to not only do those real-time crawls, but build a model that made those predictions. So there was a lot that went behind rolling out a tool that not only Rand would be proud of, but the company as a whole could really put our feet into the pool of keyword tools and say, we've got a contender. So because we weren't early to market, it meant we wanted to make a strong play when we did come in. And I think we did. It's been very well received, especially amongst existing Moz users who were looking for something that would tie in with their existing products. And at the same time, a guy like me who, like I said, I still have an SEMrush account. I actually have accounts with lots of our competitors. I can say that this is one of the Moz tools that I use and I recommend to other agencies to use above and beyond, which even from the biased perspective that I have now as a Moz employee, I think I can say pretty objectively is a good answer.
I have a question for us as well. You put it that way, like you tried to make a keyword research tool that Rand would be proud of, and that you would counter the downsides of Google Keyword Planner. Mm-hmm. And you didn't mention that I believe there was a commercial move to it. I believe that Moz has customers who turned down the offer of using Moz just because they also need a keyword research tool. Wasn't that a factor? I believe there should be a lot of guys like.
Oh, sure. We talked about churn at our company, which is people who end up leaving the tool set. And if you want a suite, a complete SEO suite, it ought to include keywords. That being said, if we were just trying to save face with those customers, we would have released a tool a long time ago, and it would have just been your standard run-of-the-mill, type in a keyword, get back the volume, and that would have been it. But I think that I don't want to. I think all of the people here understand that the SEO community is not going to accept a tool that isn't really going to do them a service and actually allow them to do their jobs better. So I think long gone are the days of just tacking on one more feature after another, after another, after another, and building some sort of Frankenstein. You do actually have to produce something that's coherent and cohesive. But I would agree with you. Certainly, we had our existing customers in mind as well.
Is that good for me to step in? Okay, so my questions are kind of going to be all over the place because obviously I was told 3 minutes before you guys started. So one thing that everyone's been talking about lately is Google's decision to change their own keyword tool to combine search variants instead of before they showed obviously keywords individually, so you can get a good idea of in a range of keywords which ones were most popular and which ones weren't. What do you guys all think about that decision that Google made, and has it had any impact on stuff on your end?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'd say that it's a kind of on trend for how Google's been making updates to the keyword planner, and it's kind of been increasingly difficult for people to get just at the kind of the keyword data. And I remember a while ago they moved it in, so you had to have an AdWords account, and they've been making these kind of sort of changes periodically. So I think it ties into sort of what they've been doing with the keyword planner, and definitely we've had people coming to us and talking about it, and we ran an article on it in our newsletter last week and had lots of people commenting on it and stuff. So it's definitely something that people are aware of, and I think it's definitely had an impact on people.
It's a big deal when the help team at your company starts asking you questions because they're receiving so many questions about it from their support channels. We actually kind of saw this happen in real time a bit. Since we mix clickstream data with Google data, we use that to catch anomalies where keywords are way over or underreported. The original goal for that was to catch trending terms, but what ended up happening in this case was a whole bunch of misspellings or acronyms or things of that sort jumped in their volumes dramatically relative to the clickstream data we were seeing. And that dramatic increase, luckily our systems were able to catch and course correct in a lot of cases, but it helped to see that this was a pretty profound change on Google's behalf. We're looking to roll out a specific solution to this in not this sprint, but the following, so in about 4 weeks, although our clickstream data helps with it already. But I think it's something that all keyword tools are going to have to consider if they want to serve the SEO community in particular.
Yeah, I think for SEO, if I may, the SEO had a big hit with it because Google is a company that wants to sell you those keywords, so you bid on them. And it even feels a bit scammy because they make some keywords look better than they actually are. And if you're just bidding on them in AdWords, that's all right. Google will show the same SERP for most of the times for those good keywords. But optimizing your website, the keywords from the list and those search volumes will not do you any good. And in perspective, will actually increase the price of bidding on that keyword for your website if you optimize it poorly based on data provided by Google grouped keywords. I believe so.
No doubt if marketers take this on face value, looking at these rolled up numbers, they may be overly optimistic in the direction that they take. At SEMrush, we track individual keywords as separate entities in our database. So I think while the keyword planner, of course, still has value, the changes probably give us the opportunity as tool providers to give that extra level of value to marketers and SEOs.
Yeah, I think when I noticed the change happening and a couple of people pinged me about it, it was like, oh my god. And then, of course, when the whole login thing about requires the AdWords account to be able to use the tool, then all the SEOs who are doing all their organic research and don't do anything on the paid side pretty much lost it. And I know Google came back and said, that it's not definitely something they're doing, except people are still coming across this. They're getting this login, and they're being told by support that they have to have an account. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with this in the future. But obviously, it is a tool for paid search. It's to drive pay-per-click, not for all us SEOs who have been filching off it for years now.
It's interesting as well that Bing actually have a, Bing's keyword tool does show organic volumes, and it's very much geared towards SEO, and you can really see that they've done that on purpose to set it apart from the Google Keyword Planner. And it's interesting the two different approaches and the way Bing is kind of embracing it and saying, actually, this is what our customers kind of need and what they're asking for, and Google's consistently saying, no, we're just going to ignore that section of people, move further and further away from them. It's just two very, very kind of separate approaches.
Yeah, I did ask John Mueller about it to see if we could get something on the organic side, if Google on the AdWords side, because they keep everything so separate. And he said possibly in the future, if it's something that will make websites better, we might see something. But it's Google, so you never know.
Yeah, it actually might be great for us, because there are a number of people who, on the question, what keyword tools do you use to do keyword research, they just go, I use Keyword Planner. Not anymore, I don't think so, because as SEMrush, Moz, we at Serpstat, we show the exact search volumes for the keywords, and that's what you're looking for in keyword research. So yeah. hopefully it just brings us more profit in this circle here.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for all you guys with your tools. You're definitely guys are all going to benefit from it for sure. So keyword research. We always hear people bragging about, oh, I'm ranking #1 for some, 8 keyword long keyword phrase that they're #1 for that no one ever searches for, and there's probably like 10 SERPs for the entire query. When it comes to, I know that a lot of new users, when they come into a keyword research tool, they're either overwhelmed or they're doing it wrong. What do you think the biggest mistakes are that people are doing when they're starting out doing keyword research?
I would say that it's what I call the Las Vegas real estate approach. I used to talk to customers who wanted to rank, for the most difficult words in the world, and the types of models that they would use or other agencies would use to figure out the return on investment of a particular keyword would almost always show that the head-tail terms were the best return on investment. All the traffic was there, the bid prices were much higher, but the explanation that I would give is, the best return on investment might be building a casino on the Las Vegas Strip, but it takes $1 billion to do that. And I think that what customers really, or webmasters really have to do these days is figure out what they're actually capable of ranking for. And I actually wrote a blog post on this recently, because historically knowing how strong your site was relative to competitors was a fairly difficult thing to do. But one of the uses of the Moz Explorer tool was that you could just export all the keywords that you currently rank for from Google Webmaster Console or Google Search Console and drop it into a list in Keyword Explorer and see the average keyword difficulty for the things you do rank for. And then when you actually do your keyword research, you could compare, do I normally rank for keywords that are this difficult or not? And go ahead and exclude these Las Vegas casino dreams and instead find something that's a little bit off the strip, but it's going to get you the return on investment that you want.
I love that analogy. That's awesome.
Thanks. I used to sell a lot of SEO, so
I'd also add to that, though, that those kind of head terms, those really sort of broad terms that have lots and lots of volume, sometimes they aren't actually the best terms in terms of commerciality. So you might say, yeah, they get loads and loads of traffic, but actually the ROI on that term might not be great. Like if you sort of think about it in terms of the buying cycle and where people are and how far they are from a purchase, then when they're using those really broad terms, they're normally much nearer the start of the buying cycle. And it's actually the longer terms, which are much closer to the end of the buying cycle, where you really want to be capturing those searches so you can actually get the conversion. So I think as well that's often a mistake that people make, is understanding the intent behind the keyword as well. And it's not just about capturing traffic, it's about getting the right kind of traffic.
Actually, to add to what Owen said, I argue about this a lot. People still believe that shorter keywords mean a bigger search volume. I do not agree solely, because who in their right mind would search for something like shoes? Yeah. Did you ever type in a word shoes into? There's a picture whenever you search for what is a long tail keyword, or there are millions of pictures that go. The head are the short keywords consisting of 1 to 3 words. The body is 3 to 5 words, and so on. In my experience, we checked the Serpstat database for that, just to see how many keywords are there on the database of different length. The short keywords are about as rarely sourced as keywords consisting of 5 words. So just considering, actually sometimes those short words are long tail that you might want to use just to increase traffic, because of course it will be hard to rank, but I wouldn't say that that's head, and that shows that you're ranking for a keyword shoes means that you're doing SEO right. Well, depending, if your website is just a picture of a shoe and you want to show that to people, that's all right. And we specifically added a tool to filter out the keywords of different length when you do research, just for people who are that, pay that much attention to the length of a keyword. But I don't think that's where, in some markets, the keywords start from like 3 words, because the name of a product suggests that you just start with like 3 words. For Samsung Galaxy S7, that's just your base, and it already has 4 words in it. So yeah, just judging anything by the length is completely wrong.
You know, I love talking to marketers at conferences, because it reminds me that there's really a whole range of experience and roles that people have in companies all across the world. I mean, we're having this great conversation here, and we're geeking out about all this stuff. And I think about the SEOs. They're trying to get information and find out what to do next. And some people are just getting started. Some people work at very small companies, some Fortune 500 companies, and it's kind of tough. Sometimes they get caught up in the echo chamber of latent semantic analysis, natural language processing, rank brain, and that's all important, and all of us as a community need to wrap our heads around it. But I think generally marketers are best served when they're focused on what matters and really what's actionable for them. To start to think of what's the problem or the opportunity or the question or the thought, or what I call pocket. So they have a framework to start approaching their keyword research from a creative perspective, to not just think about the what, because if the searchers knew what they were searching for, then they just go right there. Mostly it's on the way to something, and those are the real opportunities we can convert. So also in SEMrush, we have the SEO keyword magic tool. People can put keywords in there and also organize, sort, and filter and prioritize based on that. But really just starting with what the user really wants, even before they formulated exactly what it is they want to arrive at.
So mobile is obviously a huge thing. Do you guys can all talk, what do you guys do for mobile keyword research? Do you have anything separate? Do you have anything to show off? Are you noticing any trends between mobile and desktop keywords?
I would say that search suggestions are a lot more important when people do mobile search, just because it saves that time typing on the tiny keyboard when you can just select a suggestion from a drop-down bar. So that is one thing I would definitely pay attention to if I were to promote a website that is mainly targets mobile users. That's just off the top of my head. I believe the other guys have something to add to it.
Yes, at SEMrush we have a mobile database so that you can do searching and get results based on keywords and domains for mobile versus desktop. And it really depends on the industry, the product, and the service, where you find the differentials, and some of them it's pretty stark.
Yeah, I would. It's certainly something we've been discussing internally at Moz to add the Keyword Explorer. But in our research, what we found is, for one, there isn't a huge difference between the search results on average for mobile versus non-mobile. In fact, I would ask the question, if you wanted to rank for a term in in mobile but not desktop, how would you even begin to approach that problem? Google doesn't really let you separate that way. That being said, it is something worth taking a look at. Getting volume data for mobile is unfortunately particularly difficult. You can get it in Keyword Planner, but only in a graph, and you can't export it in any kind of useful way. So at least for now, aside from clickstream providers, there really isn't a great source for knowing some of those numbers. Although there are a couple that are very, very pricey that are available, but at the same time, it's not coming from Google themselves.
If I may, I just now used Serpstat source suggestion filter to on a random query that I was writing an article about. It was about seeds. And as for source suggestions, the results are completely different from what I have in keyword research suggestions. It just seems like people who use suggestions, they even think differently than those who just know what they are searching for. I believe, as I mentioned before, for mobile users, that's very important. And while it's probably hard convincing someone to rank for a search suggestion, we have an experience here in our local market with SEOs just adding them to the search engines through proxies and spamming search engines just to show to the clients that you see this 8-word key phrase, you're now ranking for it, and it is in search suggestions, and it has like 10,000 search volume, but it only has that as a group keyword. But still, if you, as Ross said, ranking separately, but some websites, or I don't know, websites for mobile applications probably target like most of the audience as mobile users. So in those cases, it is a good idea to jump on it and just I don't know, maybe even do a research manually in Google Keyword Planner without a keyword research loop, just to see how mobile users handle that area.
Yeah, I definitely agree that mobile users search in a different way than they do on desktop, and it's about trying to identify and split that out, and that's something I think is really hard to do. And like you're saying about the problem with suggest and the problems there with how easy it is to kind of spam those results. But I think, like, you know, mobile is something that we all need to be in the industry, especially, you know, from our perspective, be really thinking about, because you've now got stuff like AMP, which is, you know, fairly recent. That's mobile focused, of course, and then you've got all the Firebase stuff as well. So now you can deep link into apps. So down the line, the content that's in apps and keywords there might even get, you know, more important. So yeah, I think mobile is something that, you know, is a challenge that we're all going to need to tackle at some point.
To continue on with that, voice searches. Maria from Google said that's, I think, 30 times more likely to be action keywords when they're doing voice search. Do any of your tools do anything with voice search at all? I know it's still pretty new.
Ours doesn't. As far as I know, there isn't an easy way to tease out which searches came from voice and which ones didn't, at least inside of Keyword Planner, which is the source, the ultimate source of a lot of the data behind these tools. I don't know if the other guys are. Any of y'all?
Have a super secret way?
I think what there is to know about voice searching is that, I mean, right now, according to Google, from their Google I/O event, 20% of all mobile queries now are happening via voice search. And pretty much 2015 was a tipping point. But what's interesting is that what they're counting in as voice search could be something like call mom. And they're rolling that in. So, you know, to bring out the real searches that might land someone on a web page that'll serve us, you know, is really the next step. But it's the issue of people are speaking conversationally, and it's kind of the inverse of what would typically happen in a mobile search, right? Because we have our little iPhones, and we're tippy-tapping our search, and we're probably being as concise and short as possible, because who's got time to type all that? Whereas the voice search, we start to
Blah 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 blah.
yeah, exactly. And then they talk to us back.
Can you imagine results on keyword research tool where you have just a list of audio files with examples of a voice search? If I believe sometime we might even have to deal with different accents, target people by Russian, British accent, American accent, and deal with all that. But as for action words and keywords, probably like almost any keyword research tool has a filter where you can remove keywords that do not contain action words, but you will have to add them manually, like Martin said, call or go or find or whatever. So we can do that, but on a primitive level so far.
Yeah, just doing it for identifying the kind of the shape of those keywords, and and from there trying to isolate them out. I think that's something that's it's really difficult to do. And I mean, we've got our own sort of proprietary keyword database at Wordtracker as well. So we deal a lot with kind of trying to crunch large data samples. And when you're trying to do that sort of thing, working with like really large amounts of data, it becomes really, really, really tricky to be able to handle and do that. So I think it's something that we're certainly still a little way off from being able to achieve.
Okay, to a totally different topic now. Competitive analysis. We all know about using tools to kind of plug in our competitor's URL and get a big list of what they're ranking for. What else can people use your tools for competitive analysis outside of just seeing what they rank for?
I may start. Okay. It's actually a new feature with the Serpstat, and the one that we're tremendously proud of. It's called in-depth or advanced, or it actually doesn't have a name, but let's call it advanced URL analysis, where we can run a URL of a domain through our system and find competitors in forms of other URLs. So for example, you have a product page on your e-commerce website, and we will find competitors for that page that are also pages that sell the same product, instead of what you would find before. Like you have a small store selling iPhones, you would compete mostly with Amazon, eBay, Newegg, or whatever. They would show like the biggest websites in this market, and you will have to fight with them. But when we compare pages, we can find the direct competitors to the page. And also, great feature is called the missing keywords, where you run that your own page, for example, a page where you sell iPhone 6. You run that URL through that missing keyword filter, and it shows what keywords are missing from your page that are present on the top 10 pages of your competitors. So top 10 pages that sell iPhone 6 have a keyword, for example, iPhone SX without the letter I, and you're missing on that. We'll show you that you don't have this keyword, but most of your competitors use it, and it has this search volume. That's a great feature that our analytics came up with. I don't have a store, but I've been using that like mad. Just I just find it fun for some reason. See that, oh, can you look at that? The main retailer in our city doesn't use like half of the keywords of the next guys in the top 10. It sounds great. Before that, the URL analysis, as it is in SEMrush, as Russ said, everyone is an SEMrush customer, so am I. You can find the keywords of the page and analyze it. You can analyze the page of your competitor, which is great, but we kind of automate the process a little, or try to.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm always interested in, having come from an agency, is once I've got my competitors' keywords, what can I do with them? And there was a blog post that came out right after Keyword Explorer was launched, where basically a guy went through what you can do once you've got your competitors' keywords by dropping it into a list in Moz Keyword Explorer. And like one of the things he would do is pick out, show me only the keywords that don't have ads and have a high keyword difficulty that my competitor ranks for. And basically those are opportunities where there's no reason to try and compete with your competitor. It's already a hard keyword, but there's nobody advertising there yet, so you can just rent your way in there. or show me the keywords that have a high keyword difficulty, but that also have an answer box or a featured snippet, because you have the opportunity there to poach the featured snippet. So while you might not be able to rank at the top organically, you might be able to take over that featured snippet. And there are all kinds of different ways that once you've got the competitor's keywords, you can look at things like SERP features or the competitiveness, and then be able to come up with strategies that might be a little outside the norm of just saying write content and throw links at it, to edge your way around your competitors, even if it doesn't mean beating them in the 10 blue links.
So at SEMrush, in addition to providing the organic research, we find a lot of SEOs find value in looking at the PPC data, especially the ad copies, because you're getting in very concise format what the competitors focused on, what they're investing in, what type of language they're using to position their product. So that's been very useful, even if they're not a PPC themselves. Also, by setting up projects, we give our users the ability to do keyword research on terms that might not even be in the database. And pretty much Google's saying 15% of all searches every day they've never seen before, ever, which is like 500 million searches a day. So while all of us at platforms, are struggling mightily to stay ahead of this and what are the latest trends and what keywords should be in the database, every specific company, niche, and industry has terms and phrases that are used in the language of the people who are their target audience. So that can be developed, loaded in, and then we can start tracking, optimizing, and finding related keywords to that.
Great. Here at Wordtracker, we actually sort of took a bit of a look at kind of what people's competitive analysis process is and how we can help people with that process and kind of slot into it. So one of the things we did was build Wordtracker Scout, which is a Chrome extension, and that's really handy because what that does is when you're looking at a competitor, it allows you to then break down all the keywords that are on that page, and you can then suck those straight out the page and put them straight into your Wordtracker account, into your projects and lists. So that kind of helps you within the, within the flow of your competitor analysis. And then, of course, within Wordtracker, you can then see all the keyword difficulty, etc., for those keywords. Funnily enough, we're just developing some new features at the moment for our kind of. We just announced it today, actually, in our newsletter. Actually, maybe that goes out tomorrow morning, so a little bit ahead there. But still, so we're developing some new features within that allow you to do things like see the SERPs for different keyword sets and stuff like that. So we are thinking about it a bit more within the kind of within the process as well. But I think being able to actually just, as you're going about your competitor analysis, being able to quickly suck all the keywords off the page and pass them straight into the keyword tool is a really handy little feature.
So I do a presentation on featured snippets at conferences, and every time I'm talking about that, I talk about the SEMrush tool and the featured snippet tool, which is an amazing thing that shows what sites have featured snippets for what keywords. And every time I talk about it, people are like, oh my god, where is it? They log into their account and point it out to me, I can't find it. So in each of your tools, what is some real cool tool, feature, or something that most people don't realize is there but is actually pretty cool to use?
Yeah, I'll jump in. My favorite is, so one of the big problems is getting out of your initial sort of filter bubble of the keywords for which you might want to rank. So, let's say I'm, making an SEO tool, or let's say I'm a tennis website, and I know who Roger Federer is, and I want to find other good keywords to rank for, so I type in Roger Federer. And historically, most SEO tools out there would do basic phrase match, where it would find everything related to Roger Federer Wimbledon, Roger Federer tennis, so on and so forth. And then kind of the next iteration were tools that were based on SERPs. And so it might then give you some results like from matching sites. But one of the cool things that I know a guy named Evan and Aaron on the development team at Moz worked on was using some different NLP and semantic algorithms to better return search results. And you can see this in Moz Explorer. When you search for a keyword, there's a display keyword suggestions, and one of the things is based on closely related topics or based on broadly related topics and synonyms. I just love this. If you search for Roger Federer, not only does it figure out that this is related to tennis, but that this is a tennis player, and not just a tennis player, a male tennis player. So the results that come back are Roger Federer, obviously at #1, but then Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, Leighton Hewitt, Andy Roddick, Stan Wawrinka, and then finally you get to your first female tennis player, Steffi Graf, but then you just keep going down the list, and it's just a veritable who's who of tennis players from the last 20 years. And for me, like when this was first showed to me internally, I had no clue how they did it. I was like, I'm supposed to be a search scientist here, but this is sufficiently new to me to be considered magic. So if you ever use Moz Explorer, use the display keyword suggestions based on closely related topics filter and just see what kind of magic turns up.
If I may, apart from the URL analysis that I discussed, we find that our users actually love the #2 and #3 features, I'll say. #2 is only questions filter for search suggestions, where, as I mentioned before, search suggestions for keyword car seats as a head. I just turn on the only questions filter, and I can see what questions people type in related to the car seats, and it starts with how to remove coffee stains from car seats, what are the Arizona laws for car seats, how long until infant car seats expire, and so on. So that gives great ideas for content. If you need to write something about the keyword, you can look up what questions people have about that keyword and just address that. And another feature is called a tree view. It breaks down the URL rankings for a domain separately, so it shows which URL, which page ranks for what keyword and on what place. This allows to easily identify pages that rank on the second page of Google for the keywords, and just by giving them some attention in terms of SEO, moving them to the first page. It's the easiest, simplest way to boost traffic, even if it's short term. You have a page that ranks 11th for a keyword with, let's say, 3,000 monthly searches. You work on that for a while, and you'll have it on the first page, which will not mean that you'll get 3,000 searches, but it means that you'll at least 3,000 visits, but it means you'll get at least some from organic. And SEO specialists love that when they need to show reports to their customers and they didn't do anything for a month and they're like, okay, I need to do something fast and show that traffic has increased. Sometimes it sticks though, and yeah, that's the feature that our customers are fond of.
So earlier, oh, thank you.
I thought I couldn't hear you.
We can hear you. I'm sorry. Was there anything else, Igor?
No, that's it.
Okay. So earlier I talked about the needs of marketers at small companies, but in addition we work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and they're always interested in, are you a good fit? Can we do research at scale? And I think one of the secret features, Jennifer, that a lot of people aren't aware of, because it's not really apparent when you're in the platform interface, but we have it on the website, is that we do custom research. So we can have our data scientists put together very custom type of queries, research, reports, data via API feeds, and so forth. So for example, it was a large financial institution, and they noticed that certain types of queries brought up a knowledge graph up on the right with comparisons of rates. So we put together a custom research that showed that based on these X number of keywords, we'll trigger the knowledge graph under these conditions, and that was valuable to them. So we can do something similar and custom for pretty much any large organization.
Okay, if I can chime in there as well, I think that ties into a little bit of like some of the kind of Wordtracker sort of slightly less known features, if you will, because we've got our our own database, we've actually got a lot of flexibility over our API and our reports, and we can actually do some really cool things with those. And we can do things like going down to searches that occurred, on a certain day within a certain geographic area. We can actually go right down to the first half of a postcode and say, what were the top searches in this area on that day, which I think a lot of people find really helpful for kind of market research and stuff like that. So I think a lot of our customers don't realize that through our custom reports that we're able to do that kind of thing. And as well, like, we also have a couple of just really cool features that are much more customer facing in our keyword research tool. Stuff like, similar to how Igor was saying, you can do keyword questions, which is something you can also do in Wordtracker. And as well, being able to use negative match searches. I think a lot of people don't realize that you can actually use a negative match in the keyword tool as well, and that will just quickly minus out any keywords that you don't want to see when you're building up your list. So I think those are some really cool, nice little features that maybe people don't realize are there, or don't get seen that much.
Okay, I guess we lost Jennifer. We kind of lost Jennifer. So guys, we'll be here 1 hour. It's what we promised to do. Anyone want to say anything else? Well, nothing else. I'm pretty sure you can go on and on your absolutely unique features for your absolutely unique services.
I actually have a question to the guys, if they don't mind. What's your second favorite SEO tool that you use, apart from the one that you work at? Yeah,
well, we know Russell use SEMrush.
Yeah, but
not my second favorite, but SEMrush is awesome. No, I would say it's an old tool that I wrote called ntopic. It's ntopic.org, the letter ntopic.org. You basically give it content and a keyword, and it tells you your topical relevancy and gives you a bunch of related words and phrases you should include to increase that relevancy. So it's great for handling the post-Hummingbird RankBrain world, because you can optimize your content with related words and phrases. Step off the call. I wanted to say thanks to everybody, but I'm bumping into a 3 o'clock. Well, I'm over that. But thanks again for all of you, and Anton, thanks for putting this together.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Okay, he's gone. Martin, what you were saying, answering Igor's question, and we'll finish it.
Sure. I think in addition to the great marketing stack of tools that's represented here, when it comes to free tools, answerthepublic.com is really fantastic. You can put in words, and it does keyword research. It comes back with those words turned into questions or prepositions. So you can type in something like piano, and it'll come back with, well, how do pianos work? And by this, it really gets you in the mindset of the keyword researcher, your prospect, your customer, and to start to develop content that's going to target those keyword phrases. That's answerthepublic.com.
I'm going to go with an oldie but a goodie. I think it's probably one of the tools that I've used since kind of day dot, or certainly for a long time. That's Majestic. They're a backlink tool. They're really awesome. They've basically got an index of the web. You can do some really cool stuff with their API. So yeah, I definitely say majestic.com.
Does it kind of have a patriotic feeling when you work for a British company? just to check.
They are. That's true. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, they are fellow Brits too.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. It wasn't without glitches. Yeah, well, what other things happen? It's technology. It's all live. It's not we haven't prepared and should. Thank you very much. So I'll start from left to right. Okay, Russell already gone. Left to right. Thank you, Igor, for being with us. Igor Go from Serpstat, Odessa, Ukraine. Thank you, Jennifer. We can see you. We see your picture. Thank you for saving a day. Thank you, Martin. It was very nice to have you with us. And thank you, Owen. Okay, thank you, guys. Guys, we're gonna go off air right now, but you don't go straight away. But now I'm pressing stop broadcast, and you